Well, my cucumbers are finally ready, so I'm going to make some fermented dill pickles. This particular recipe is on the internet at a website called wildfermentation.com. And the ingredients required are 1 pickle crock or some suitable food-grade plastic container that will hold a gallon, 2 heads of garlic peeled. It says a pinch of black peppercorns. I don't know, I suppose I've got a teaspoon of black peppercorns in there. 6 tablespoons of sea salt. 3 tablespoons of dill weed, dill seed, or you could use fresh dill heads if you have them. I don't happen to have any. 1 boiled rock. The rock doesn't require any seasoning, you just boil it in plain water. And a plate that is small enough that it will fit down into your crock. 2 liters of cold tap water. And it says a couple of handfuls of grape leaves. I just happen to have a wild New Brunswick grapevine that grows on my property. It's one that Bob Osborne at Cornhill Nurseries collected years ago along the St. John River and propagated, and I believe he still sells them. So I have fresh grape leaves, and it says 4 pounds of cucumbers. I think I have roughly 4.5 pounds there of my greenhouse cucumbers, the seedless variety. The smaller ones I didn't slice at all, I just cut them into chunks. The larger ones I cut them into chunks and then quartered them into spears. You dissolve the sea salt into the cold tap water to make a brine. And I forgot to mention, I guess, when I was talking about the cucumbers, make sure you cut the blossom end off and discard it. There's an enzyme in the blossom end of cucumbers that will prevent your cucumbers, pickles from staying crisp. You'll end up with soft pickles if you make any kind of pickles and forget to remove the blossom end of the cucumber and discard it. Into the bottom of the crock, place the handful of grape leaves, the garlic cloves, the peppercorns, dill weed. And on top of that, you pack your cucumbers. My cucumbers weren't quite enough to fill the crock to the top, but I think that's good because you want to be able to weight your plate down and hold the pickles under the brine. Once you have the pickles and all the other ingredients in the crock, you just add your 2 liters of brine. It doesn't really matter if you don't use all of the brine. It's just important that it covers the pickles. If you have brine left over, it doesn't matter, as long as you mix the brine according to the instructions. You've got the right amount of salt for the 2 liters of water. Well, that's it. They're in there and they are floating nicely. I even see some of the dill weed coming to the top. And here comes the plate and my boiled rock, which will hold the pickles under the brine. Now it says to cover that with a cloth and to store it in a cool place. I'm going to put mine down in the basement. To check it daily. If you do see mold or scum appearing on the surface, to remove the rock and the plate and skim off as much of that as you can. It's perfectly normal, I guess. It happens in the fermentation process. But you should wash the rock and the plate before you return it. just to make sure that you aren't returning more of the mold spores, I suppose, who continue to grow. And then you start tasting them. It can take anywhere from 1 to 4 weeks, depending on how sour you want them to be. And when they've reached a level of sourness that you're happy with, you put the crock in the refrigerator and use them until they're gone, but they will last for a long time in refrigeration, and that's the time when you would use your crock cover. Put the lid back on, remove the rock and the plate, and put the crock's lid back on. If you're interested in getting a crock, mine came from Medicine Hat, Alberta, from a museum out there called Medalta, M-E-D-A-L-T-A, Potteries Limited. And if you want to Google them and find them on the internet, one of the few places left that still make pickle crocks.